You're in a conversation, maybe it's dinner, maybe it's a meeting, maybe it's someone younger than you talking confidently about how life works, and something shifts in you. Not loudly. Just a quiet, strange awareness. Like watching someone read a map for a place you've already been. You don't say anything. You just sit with it. This feeling that you now know something that took decades to see. Something you couldn't have been told. Something you had to live to understand. That's the strange thing about getting older. Nobody warns you about the realizations. If any part of that felt familiar, then this is for you. Because what happens around 40 isn't just physical. Psychologically, something very specific is shifting. And it's almost never talked about honestly. There's a stage in developmental psychology called ego integrity. It describes the movement from building your life to actually seeing it, not the version you hoped for. The version that actually showed up. A researcher named Levinson called it the season of life. Most people reach this between 38 and 45, and what they find is not a crisis. It's something quieter. A slow, uncomfortable knowing. The understanding that family runs on economics before love. That work rewards value, not effort. That health is built through discipline, not medicine. These aren't cynical thoughts. Psychologists call this integrated wisdom, knowledge that could only be assembled through lived experience. But here is where it gets complicated. Because that clarity, that finally seeing how things actually work, doesn't always feel like a gift. Sometimes it feels like grief. For every year spent working hard instead of strategically. For every decision made with the wrong map. The "if I had known this at 25" feeling. Which sounds like wisdom, but can quietly, slowly become a weight. But that's not how this kind of knowledge works. You couldn't have understood that effort is invisible and value is rewarded before you felt the gap. These aren't things you missed. These are things life was holding back until you were ready to see them clearly. The "I'm too late" feeling sits in you. You look at your finances, your health, not just as they are, but as they might have been. But that gap, between who you were and what you now know, is not evidence of failure. It's evidence of growth. You weren't behind, you were in training. So here's the question, what do I now know that I can actually use? The principle of value over effort, discipline over medicine, risk control over return. Just one. That's where it starts. Because here's what 40 gives you that 25 couldn't. A cleared map. A finally knowing what matters. 40 isn't where life starts to end. It's where the noise finally starts to quiet. You didn't miss your life. You learned it, and you're still learning. That's enough. Drop a comment. I read every one. And if this kind of quiet, honest psychology is what you're looking for, subscribe.